There's a bit of anxiety that I have right now, even talking about this, because of the process that I have gone through over the past year plus.
Travis Dhanraj nervously tells his story about his time at CBC. Hi, I'm Brian Lilley, political columnist for the Toronto Sun. You've probably heard the name by now. If you didn't know it before, you know it now. Travis Dhanraj, former reporter at CBC, show host at CBC, a guy that remarkably got me on the state broadcaster to have public debates. Well, he resigned back in July. We broke the story here at the Toronto Sun. Now he's launched a new podcast. It's called CBC. It doesn't stand for Canadian Broadcasting Corporation. It stands for Can't Be Censored. And in this podcast, Travis is spilling the tea on what it means to be at CBC and why things are so bad. Now, he's faced lots of criticism that he just wanted to tear down CBC, that he didn't care about the organization. I can tell you, because I've known this man for a long time. We've worked together, we've been rivals at times, we've been colleagues. This is a guy who went to CBC to try and fulfill a mission. And that's what he says in his new podcast as he's describing what it's like to be inside the belly of the beast.
I thought I was going to retire there. I wanted to, but the situation just became so hostile, and I wasn't able to actually do what I came to do, which is actually journalism.
Now, there is a lot more to dissect from this episode, but let me point something out. One of the things that Dhanraj tried to do that I really appreciated was that he tried to have people from all perspectives on. And CBC was fine with that if they were New Democrats, if they were far left, if they were liberals, but they didn't want conservatives on. When he first called me in December of 2023 to say, I'm going to have a show on CBC and I want you on, I laughed. I said, they won't let you have me on. And he said, if I can get you on, will you come on? And I said, yes, absolutely. If you can get me on, I will come on. The panel that I was part of was canceled very quickly, but that's because CBC just didn't want any kind of conservative voices on. During his podcast episode of Can't Be Censored, sitting with Carmen Wong, Travis describes how he was upbraided for having Melissa Lantsman, the deputy leader of the Conservative Party, on. Why? Because the Conservatives were boycotting David Cochran's show in Ottawa, Power and Politics. They were boycotting Rosemary Barton's show in Ottawa, the Rosemary Barton Live. Why? Because they were liberal shills and nothing but. Look, those are my words, not Travis's. But that is why the Conservatives were boycotting him. And then he tells the story about how he got a call from Tucker Carlson. Now, look, I'm not a Tucker Carlson fan. Haven't been for many years. I have my own reasons for that. Your mileage may vary. And fair enough. You can like him, you can not like him. But the guy was making news when he called Travis. He was in the news. CBC was doing story after story about him. And Tucker called Travis and talked to him about going on his show. Listen to this.
Tucker Carlson called me.
Okay, Tucker. Let's just,
Tucker Carlson called me. And by the way, he's coming on this show, and I'm supposed to go on his show to talk about all this stuff. And I don't know Tucker Carlson. I didn't have his phone number in my phone or anything like that. My phone rang one day, and it was Tucker Carlson. And he said, I watched your Intersection panel. I'm up here in Canada. I like the Intersection panel. I'm going to interview Danielle Smith for this fireside chat, the Premier of Alberta. And I'd like to come on the show. And I thought, well, that's actually, there's news value to it because he's interviewing Danielle Smith. He's in Canada. There were news stories about it. Why not do an interview with Tucker Carlson? However, I got in trouble for reaching out to an American commentator without telling people. I didn't reach out to him. Mm-hmm. And I was also told, and CBC probably will say, no, that never happened. I was told that he's banned from the network. And then I was pulled into a meeting, basically, and I was like, well, why? And they're like, well, he's a white nationalist. I'm like, I don't necessarily know if that's the case.
Who else is banned on the network?
Well, that's the thing. right? There were a lot of people banned on my show.
Look, as much as I am not a fan of Tucker Carlson, if he called me, I'd be like, yes, let's do an interview. Let's talk. Let's put you on the air. We're doing stories about you anyway. Let's get your point of view and have you defend it. Not CBC. They didn't like that at all. He was penalized for that. There is so much more to unpack from this podcast that is coming out. And I think we're going to have fun over the coming days and weeks talking about what is in this. But one thing is clear, CBC is sick to the core. There is a problem within the state broadcaster. And the fact that you can't have conservative voices on there that aren't pre-screened, that aren't vetted to make sure that they are sufficiently liberal, that's a real problem. Travis was trying to ensure that his show, Canada Tonight with Travis Dhanraj, they put his name in it, was a place where people from all sides of the political spectrum could show up and have a frank debate and discussion. I debated people that I disagree with vehemently politically, but guess what? We walked to the subway together after. We were able to have those discussions in good faith. CBC doesn't want that. They want us divided. They want us hating each other. They don't want to have certain voices from one side on their airwaves. That is a problem, considering that we all pay for it. Drop a comment down below, share this on social media, and don't forget to subscribe to our channel.